I was just on my way out of the racetrack on my way to the Meadows, and I ran into Dr. Latessa, and I asked him to run me through what needs to happen with Pickpocket and Lonely Lakewood, what his take was, what the likely outcome is, prognosis, things like that. And as he started to talk to me, it dawned on me, I want to make sure I get this right. So I said, look at your phone there. You said 5 minutes. I get 5 minutes of your time. So Pickpocket, it's very rare because the only time I'd seen this was James's horse last year. Was in the middle of the stake season, and they scoped him by chance the one day, and he was entrapped. Now, they raced him 3 starts with it entrapped, and then they eventually ended up getting it operated on. Pickpocket has never made a noise in his life, ever, and still to this day has never made a noise, yet somehow he's entrapped. So, for my own knowledge also, how does that happen? What do we do in a case like this, and what does the timeline and prognosis look like?
So a lot of horses will go with entrap epiglottises, and you never know till you do scope them. Some make noises, some have poor performance. With him, like I said, never made a noise. He always seemed like he trained well.
And we scoped him many times. He was never entrapped before. Yeah.
So, and what it is, the epiglottis sits in the throat and over the palate, and there's a little membrane when they're entrapped that covers that epiglottis. Yeah. So that can cause them to almost choke at times. It's because it's not moving properly.
I've heard horses when you're like, oh my God, this horse sounds entrapped. It sounds like the horse has a sock stuck in a vacuum. Like
right.
You can clearly see something is wrong with the horse. This didn't happen like that.
No. So a lot of horses too, like I said,
how does he perform well? And again, he was not entrapped last year. We've scoped him many times during the racing year also. What would cause him to become entrapped, and then how can he perform well and not make a noise entrapped where other horses just sound like an airplane?
Because he's a good horse. No, so why do they become entrapped? It's just if it's how the horse is made. It's a hereditary. I don't know. Sometimes they're intermittent, where we might scope him today and he's free. Sometimes they go in and out of being entrapped. And when that happens, it causes a lot of friction in the membrane and the palate, causes ulcers. So that's why when we see it, you do want to rectify it.
So this is proactive.
Right. Obviously he was training good. There was, no noise coming from him, but it's there. It's there.
So why not fix it
Address it now.
Yeah, I see. I understand.
And that's where, like, you mentioned your brother's horse, it's the middle of stake season and he's doing well. Well, let's just carry on because he's been racing well. It's an incidental finding. Rectify it when you have time. So as far as the procedure, you go in there and you just pretty much free up that membrane. You could do it with a laser or lancet, and it just cuts that envelope open where the epiglottis is now free.
Now, is there also a procedure where they take the membrane out? Was I wrong in saying that?
Yeah, a bit. So there's always different types of throat procedures, and a lot of us kind of just jumble them all together. So
what fits best for this particular case is what you're looking at.
Right. So there's horses that flip their palate. So you can go in there and trim out the palate, or you take part of that palate out. So it's the horses they don't stay flipped. They're easily to move their upper airway where they're not stuck. So you'll cut out part of that or laser out part of that. The entrapment, you can cut out part of that membrane to free it. So I guess that would be kind of considered.
But that isn't what we're doing in this.
They might trim out part of that membrane to keep it free.
So I guess secondly, prognosis.
Prognosis is excellent. Barring any complications from any procedure. Typically, you might have 1 day off or 2 days off. You're right back to work.
I didn't know that. So again, as you say, it's totally different with some people. Now, when we had some horses done at one clinic last year, it was almost a 3-week process where it was just leave them alone. Yeah. And that's why I'd actually trained Pickpocket kind of hard the other day, because I'm thinking, if I'm off for an extended period of time, I would rather be going in knowing he's tight and then try to get to that area than going in kind of soft and then having him to try and get over and then rework him back to where he needs to be.
Right. So what I like to do with these, maybe I'm different than other vets, they may disagree, but 1 or 2 days off, we keep them on some steroids, some Dex to keep the inflammation swelling down from the procedure that was done, and maybe not train for a week, maybe 10
he's got
days
lots of time
just to
now.
quiet down.
in my mind, I was thinking that May 12th heading to New Jersey may have been in jeopardy with his training, and that's why I had trained him hard. But hearing this now, he trained fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, trained very, very good. 2-3, like last half in a 59. You didn't see the track the other day, but it was quite snowy.
Yeah.
And that was a hell of a mile. And he came in and couldn't blow a match out.
Yeah.
Couldn't blow a match out. And to the point where Eric and Kathy especially looked at me and she goes, "How much did you go?" I said, 1 mile and 2-3. She goes, "This horse isn't even blowing."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, it's a testament to how deep his lungs are." And you know, and I always said that when you combine a horse, being a good horse is the total package. Now, unfortunately, we have to race against Carl and other horses this year, but that's horse racing. But it doesn't change that he's a good horse. So I'm happy to hear that. Prognosis is excellent. Timeline is mildly affected, which is good because he's ahead of the game right now. And it isn't something, I guess that's a question. Is this something that could happen again?
It can reoccur. It's not too likely to reoccur as long as they're able to free out the membrane enough. It should be it. And
that's important because I'm going to, rather than jumble the videos together, I'm going to stop this and talk about Lonely Lakewood for a second because he does appear to have his reappear, and must be hereditary because he's another horse. I trained him his last 2 weeks. Never made a noise. You would never know anything was wrong. We really just scoped him just to see if, one, did he bleed, which he didn't, and two, was everything okay, which it wasn't. So we'll talk about him right now. So most importantly, Pickpocket, I want to bring you guys the video of the timeline, how it may have occurred, which we don't know. Will it reoccur again? The likelihood of that is low, and as I said, the prognosis is excellent. So I wanted to make sure that they heard it from you because I'm not a vet, and I didn't want to make any mistakes.
We went, I think, 7 minutes, not 5.
6:53. I appreciate that, but you did a lot of talking, so part of that is
my fault.
Take care.